Hi, this is Nicky Mehta of the Wailin Jennys, and you are listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on Casey Radio 97.7 FM.
Where do you go, little bird?
Just to kick off, tell us a little bit about your musical background before the Wailin Jennys.
Well, I was, it depends how far back you want to go, but I came to writing music pretty late compared to probably most people who end up doing it as a career. I went to university, and then after university, I decided to take the proverbial year off before going into further education. And I'd sung and written all my life, but not songs. I was a poetry writer. And so in the year off, I just started doing some backup singing, and then started to pursue music more heavily and started a band. And then I started writing songs myself. And then that just kept up until I did my own solo album back in 2001. And then, it was actually not long after that we all decided to put on a show, Ruth and our original other member, Kara, and I. And then it just took off from there.
So you studied communications. Was there ever going to be another career path for you?
Yeah, my plan originally in university was to go on and do a master's and a PhD in cultural studies. And I was actually I was going to be a professor, and that was my path. And then I just decided I needed to take a break from school and just take a year off, and then music happened. more seriously, I guess. But yeah.
The band biography on your website describes the formation of the band as a happy accident. To what extent do you attribute the success of the band to the fact that it did all just fall together unplanned? You didn't have that expectations, I guess, at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that affected things hugely, because exactly for that reason, it wasn't this very deliberate start, and therefore there was no sort of tension in that or worry. It took off so quickly. None of us anticipated that. The person who named us, who was also the person who put on our first show at his little guitar shop, he had a feeling that it was going to go further than that. But I had just released a solo album. Kara had released her album not long before that, and Ruth was still in her band, and was starting another band at the same time. So yeah, we didn't plan on it. But I think the fact that it just took off the way it did, and we just decided to follow it, and there was just no stress about it. It was really organic. It just took off very nicely on its own.
So you're never even looking at it as a long-term project at all?
Not at the beginning, no.
Ah.
It was no. In fact, we were all trying to figure out how to juggle things, and we all had tours of our own booked and stuff. So it was a matter of sort of fitting the Jennys in around that. But and then we appreciated the band itself, and everyone's managed to some degree to keep their solo stuff alive in one way or another, and to be doing other creative projects. It's been tough because we were on the road a lot over the years, but yeah, I think it was just everyone recognized a good thing as it happened.
I was reading a blog on your website too, and you mentioned how your different musical backgrounds have seen you challenge each other to work outside your comfort zones. Do you think for yourself personally, had you spent the last 10 years as a solo artist primarily, you would have issued yourself those sort of challenges?
I don't think I would have grown as much as a musician if it hadn't been for the Jennys. You can never say really, because who knows what you'll end up doing. But I think there's nothing like working with other people who come from such different backgrounds to expand your knowledge of music and to push you, Mm-hmm. And you write in a different way. We all write differently for the band in some cases than in many ways than we do for ourselves. And, I took up instruments that I might not have. I play a lot more rhythm guitar than I probably would have, and that's a great skill to have. I think And I mean, I'm not sure. There's certain opportunities that we've had with the band that wouldn't have happened probably as solo artists, and that have also expanded our cultural horizons and creative horizons. So I think it's really made a big difference.
Sure. There's been a couple of lineup changes through the years, and each change has brought something new and different to the band's sound. Was that something you did with intent, bringing in new members that you could use as an opportunity to tweak the sound here and there?
It's funny, we didn't. It was nothing. It's very interesting. I mean, nothing has ever been deliberate about this band. It's just happened very organically and by chance. I mean, we were... Both times we replaced a member with we had stuff booked. We're always booked well in advance, and so we had a very small window to find new members. And so it was more the trickiest thing out of anything is to find somebody whose voice blends the way that the first incarnation of the band. The blend was always the big thing. And that's what we're known for. And so when it came time to find a new member the first time, that was our key thing. That had to be there. And then we were looking for a set of things after that. Somebody who was hopefully a multi-instrumentalist who was also a good songwriter, had to be, and hopefully was a well-known enough presence to have, played enough venues that they'd be able to kind of jump on board. So there's a long list of and that we liked as a person, that's also important.
Yeah.
When you're touring that much. So really, I don't think, they needed to have a general understanding of folk roots music, but it was a bonus if they came from a different background. That was kind of further down the list. The blend was, if the blend wasn't there, none of the other stuff mattered. So.
Yeah. Now, with Heather joining the group, it became not exclusively a Canadian group anymore. Did that change things at all in terms of how the band is viewed and accepted in the States, or indeed home there in Canada?
I don't think a little bit, but not much. And plus it's also happened at a time when we were really starting to tour a lot in the US. And so if anything, it probably helped us, with some interest. I don't know, there was a lot of interest in the band before Heather joined, but I think there was something that was nice for Americans to know that they had an American in the group, and it never, Canadians were equally accepting it. It didn't seem to make too much of a difference.
Yeah. Here in Australia, for many years in our music industry, there's been this complex where a band or an artist has to achieve success overseas, particularly in America, for them to be validated here back at home. Does that exist in Canada in any way?
Yeah, that does.
Yeah.
and it particularly does because we're next door to them, and that's really interesting. I have heard that as well of Australian artists. Canada is known to have a little bit of and we know this ourselves, to have, as a country, to have a bit of an inferiority complex here. I think that to a lot of people, you're really something if you've made it in the States. But then there's also this kind of don't get too, don't get proud of yourself for having made it in the States. It's this interesting dynamic that happens. But no, there's also a genuine pride in people that make a go of it in the States, because it's not easy. There are really great Canadian bands who've never been able to crack the US market. It's sometimes it's partially luck, there are a lot of really great Canadian bands who haven't done that, who are just great bands. It's just, it depends if you can get in there somehow.
Yeah. Your harmonies are beautiful, and they really have a natural feel to them. Does it come to you as natural as it sounds, or is it something that you've had to put a lot of work into over the years?
I think that we're all naturally, it's just sort of a natural thing for us, and it has been since we were kids. For, I think it's an intuitive thing for all of us, but then I also think, for Ruth and Heather, they both have musical families. They're both of their mothers are music teachers, and so they sang all their lives in their families, and multiple siblings kind of situation. For me, it's less of that. I have musical people sort of in my extended family, but wasn't that same setup. But I've always had a sort of a natural ear for harmony. It's just, I don't know where it came from, but it's there. And so I think we work hard is on arrangements, but in terms of harmony, the harmonies, like putting a song together, we just sing it and see what feels good. And it's a really intuitive process. Yeah.
So for you, is there a key ingredient or a key element or a golden rule for successful harmony singing? Hello?
I don't think so. Not really. I mean, no, I can't think of one off the top of my head. Like, really, the blend is the big thing. In terms of creating successful harmonies, I mean, you kind of want to just, like, you have to have sort of basic understanding, though not in a theoretical sense, what makes for good chords and good changes and stuff like that. But I don't think there's any kind of rule.
With three songwriting talents within the band, is there a particular process you go through in making song selections for a new album?
Well, we've always been democratic about the amount of songs each writer contributes. It's always the same amount from each person, because we've always been a band of songwriters, and we weigh everybody's contribution equally. And then it's a matter of when it comes to choosing songs for the album, then everybody presents, their sort of body of work at the time, and then we just sort of decide what really resonates with everybody, and something gets stamped as a Jenny song, or we just sort of aren't feeling it. And everybody's had that happen to them, and nobody takes it terribly personally or anything. It's just sometimes when something is a band song and when it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we always try and make sure that everybody is showcased equally, because everybody that has ever been a part of this band or is currently a part of this band, we all write very differently, and we all have something to bring to the table, and the combination of the three styles is what we believe is one of the big strengths of the band.
And outside of your own songs, you've been known to record and perform interpretations of songs by other songwriters. Is there a criteria, something particular you look for in a song that makes it a song that warrants the Wailin Jennys treatment?
It has to have, for us, it has to have an emotional relevance. It has to again resonate with all of us. It has to move us in some way, and say something that also means something to all of us. And fortunately, and this has been the case even with the member changes, there's always been a sort of a similarity in worldviews and attitudes about life in general, that has meant that subject matter is usually something we mostly agree on. And then it's just a matter of, like, does the song move us? Is it going to be interesting? Are we going to be able to put our stamp on it? Because that's the other thing, is if you're going to do a cover, you got to do something with it,
Yeah.
You've got to make it your own. So yeah, can we make this something great in our own way? And is it something that that's gonna resonate with us and move us to play every night? Because that's what also happens, You want to be able to play it. Some of these songs we've been playing for 10 years.
You give the impression you have a very loyal fan base, and I would assume that would give you great confidence and comfort when going out and trying new things, that you have a base of fans that are willing to take that ride with you musically.
Oh yeah. Oh, our fans are amazing. They really are, and they're so dedicated, and they're so vocal, and they're so encouraging, and just so willing to be, the second part of the equation, which is it's us and it's the audience, and the only way that it can be a great experience is in a live setting, is for that to be a conversation. And our fans are so willing to be there with us, and that's how you that's what makes a great show. And so, you know, I think that our sense is that when we've tried new stuff out and we let people know that this is the first time we played something live, I think audiences get excited about that they get to hear they're the first ones to hear it. And they're so, you know, like we've flubbed things in a major way. It's just like new songs, but they're great. They're really generous and really, yeah, they're lovely. We've got great fans.
Yeah. Well, talk to you about the Prairie Home Companion radio program. You have a strong link with that. We certainly know of the program down here, even though it's not broadcast here. Tell us about your connection with that show.
Well, that when I was speaking about the fact that, you know, Canadian bands can sometimes have a bit of a hard time breaking into the States, you know, the country is so massive. It's a hard thing to kind of get a foothold there and get and have your name known. And there are a lot of bands down there. And so what really makes all the difference in the world is if you are, you know, if there's some exposure on a massive level. And that, I mean, there's Prairie Home Companion is that very thing. And that's only speaking about it from a very sort of, you know, like the ability to actually tour in the States. And that's important. But I think the most important thing is over the years, we built up a really important relationship with that show. We got on it. I'm trying to remember what year it was. I think 2005 or 6 was the first time 2006, I think, was the first time we were on the show. And our record label, Red House Records in the States, has a really good relationship with the show. They're both in St. Paul, Minnesota, and our agent as well in the States knows the show well, and we were just really lucky. Garrison just really liked what we did, and he's a genius, and he loves to just put the show together on the fly. Watching him work during a show is such an amazing thing because he's rewriting scripts and stuff up till the last second until he's on air, and it's fly by the seat of your pants. And so he likes to have guests on the show who are able to do that, and that's something that we've been able to do. Is, you know, he wants a Beach Boys song in the next skit, which is 5 minutes from now. Can you learn this song right away? I was like, okay. We'll try, you know, but I mean, that's kind of what that's his thing. And so we've been very, very lucky. And that's why I mentioned the sort of what can make the difference for a band of, you know, we're so lucky that we have that relationship with them, because it's meant a lot to us personally. The cast and crew have been around for a long time and are amazing people. And then it's also meant so much for us in terms of people hearing us too.
I was watching some YouTube footage the other day that you made during the recording of your last album. It looked like such a relaxed environment to record in. How important is it for you when recording to have the right feel in your surrounds?
It's pretty big. I mean, I think that's something that we had always wanted to do was try and kind of have a setup where we could really immerse ourselves in a location and have that location be really, you know, beautiful and out of the way and in the woods kind of thing. You know, I mean, that appealed to all of us. And I think your environment is really important in that, and to make it as, you know, as non-stressful as possible. And I think that we accomplished that with that album. Where it was recorded, it was in sort of cottage country in Ontario, and one of the provinces in Canada, and it was just a beautiful area, and we just sort of set up for, I think it was a couple of weeks, and all the musicians stayed in one cottage. I mean, I was in a different cottage because I had my twins were 4 months old at the time, and holy moly, and yeah, and it had a real family feel to the whole thing. You know, people got to know each other well. People who didn't know each other got to know each other well, and it was just it was really relaxed, really nice to do it.
Speaking of the twins, how has motherhood affected the working life of a musician for you? Have you found it a happy mix?
I'm still, you know, as with balance in general in life, I'm still working on that, but, and it changes because they change, you know. I started back to, because Ruth and I manage our band, I was back to work not long after they were born, and which I don't know that I would necessarily recommend that, but it's, that's the life of a business owner, and a band, and like a person, who does their own thing and has their own band. That's you're kind of working, all the time. And so, we recorded the album when they were 4 months old, and then we were out on the road with them when they were 7 months old. And I was on the road with them till they were 2, and then we went off the road for the hiatus. So, yeah, like touring with a 7-month-old is quite different from touring with a 2-year-old. And it's just it's a real organizational thing. You have to be able to kind of handle the craziness of it and still be able to get up on stage and do what you're there to do. It's a juggle.
Yeah, and an ongoing learning experience, I would imagine.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. And just before I let you go, Nicky, upcoming plans. Is there anything in the works recording wise for the group?
Yeah, we are in talks right now because we're sort of figuring out our next steps, and we're trying to figure out exactly what the next project's going to be. We're sort of throwing around some ideas and possibly doing some a cappella stuff, and yeah, just sort of seeing where everybody's at with songwriting, and so it's in talks, and probably in the new year there's going to be some more formal planning going on. So something's going to be coming up soon. I'm being honest that I don't actually know what it is.
Fantastic. Well, whatever it is, we'll certainly be looking forward to it. Hey, thanks so much for your time, Nicky.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It was fun.
I'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. It sounds nice and peaceful there, so enjoy the rest of your night.
All right. Thanks so much, John.
Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye.